People who cheated with their significant other's sibling. What disturbing secret are you ready to confess now? I have been sleeping with my wife's sister for the past year. We are both married with kids. My wife and I started dating when we were 18. Her sister has been dating her husband since around the same time we began our relationship. Her sister is 37 and I am 32. There has always been strong tension between her sister and me. The innuendos seemed to grow stronger over time. At one point, when we were both just dating, her sister told me that she was going to break up with him and that she wished there were two of me. She continued saying things like that for quite a while. Fast forward to about a year ago, we both have two kids. Her husband had not wanted to be intimate with her for 2 years, and my wife had not wanted to do it with me for probably 3 or 4. When we did, it felt routine. One day, while her husband was at work, my wife was at a hair appointment, and the kids were playing in the yard. Her sister and I got to talking. I said something like, "Do you realize I haven't gotten a blowy in 6 years?" She responded, "Well, I haven't gotten any in 7 months, so there." We were both in the kitchen. The blinds were down and the sliding glass door was on the other side of the room. I just went for it and kissed her. She reciprocated, and it turned into a 10-second makeout. She smiled and said, "How long have you been thinking about doing that?" I replied, "About 15 years. She said, "Me too." Then she added, "Just to be sure, nobody needs to know, of course." I said, "Of course." That night, she texted me saying she had been thinking about the kiss and how exciting it was because it probably wasn't the right thing to do. We went back and forth on text for about an hour. The conversation shifted from playful to admitting that we had both imagined being with each other for a long time. I said something like, "Just be sure the next time you wear a dress or skirt in front of me, you're not wearing any underwear, so we won't have to waste time." She laughed and replied, "You wouldn't, this is just us texting back and forth because we're horny." Well, a week later, I stopped by with the kids at 6 p.m. during the week. Her husband works 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and has a 30-minute commute. My wife was out shopping with her mom. I got there, and she was wearing extremely short shorts. At that point, I couldn't tell if it was planned or not. The kids headed to the yard. We looked at each other, and I just knew. I grabbed her, and we started making out. I pulled her into the bathroom, and yes, it happened. It was a quickie, less than 5 minutes. But my God, it was good. Since then, we've been doing it 2 to 3 times a week, or whenever we can. We've met in both of our houses, in cars, and even in a restaurant bathroom once, you name it. I don't regret this at all, and neither does she. Nothing has changed in our families. We're just both getting the banging we deserve. I have no intention of stopping. So yeah, that's my confession. Story 2. I cheated on my wife with her 18-year-old brother. Okay, I'm a 39-year-old man, and my wife is 37. We've been high school sweethearts and have been married for 10 years now, 13 years altogether. We have 2 beautiful children, but recently she's been acting different. Even with kids, we've always still been intimate on a daily basis, whether while the kids were at school or asleep, but she hasn't done anything in a week, and I'm getting tired of it. All she does is lie around the house and sleep. I don't know what's going on with her, but she needs to stop it. She says she needs to see a doctor because her stomach and head have been hurting non-stop, but frankly, that doesn't feel like my issue. She had a family event to go to and invited me. The kids were with a babysitter at that point. She left me to go talk to her parents, so I was alone in the corner drinking a beer until her brother walked up to me. I'm not gay myself, but he was trying to seduce me, and it worked. I'm not proud of it. I don't know if it was the lack of intimacy or just the moment, but it happened. My wife still doesn't know, and her brother and I have continued seeing each other since. Story 3. I spend the night with my girlfriend's sister today, but the worst part is, I don't feel bad about it. In fact, I cannot wait to tell her and crush her stupid little heart. I know it is wrong, but the point is, I simply do not feel bad. I enjoy doing things like this, and I do not know why. She is a wonderful girlfriend, and I treat her well and show her plenty of affection. But deep down, I do not care about her. She is just my personal doll, for all I care. A kind girl, a pure soul. Translated to me, that means weak girl pushover. The worst part is, her dad loves me, so when she tells him, he is going to flip. Plus, with it being her sister, it could even break their entire family apart. I know I am horrible, I know I am a jerk, but I simply do not care at all. I even find it fun. She has been really boring recently, so I wanted to spice things up, and I moved to her sister, who could not resist. She just turned 18 as well, so she was easy to please. I felt like confessing would be the right thing to do. I feel like I at least need to do something. But it is hopelessly difficult to feel any form of remorse. I just want someone who has maybe been in a similar situation to help me make sense of it all, because I am a bit jumbled and confused. Story 4. I slept with my husband Sip's brother. Me, 27F, and my husband 30M have been married for 7 years. He got me pregnant at 19, and we now have an 8-year-old daughter. We decided to get married shortly after I gave birth because we felt we had already started our family, so we made it official. I do not want any more children with him because I have been slowly resenting him for years. He has gained a lot of weight and is unhygienic. He dropped out of college to take care of our daughter but never went back to finish his degree and now works a minimum wage job. Meanwhile, I am a full-time nurse and managed to earn my degree and RN license while raising our daughter, so what is his excuse? I am no longer attracted to him and am only with him for our child. I was recently at his cousin's wedding and have always been platonically close with my brother-in-law. His brother is far more attractive than my husband, but I ignored this in the past. At the wedding, though, I could not stop looking at him. He is single and younger, and I know he has always found me attractive. My husband had to go home to stay with our daughter, so I told him I was going to stay and have a few drinks since I had worked all week. I got tipsy, started dancing with my brother-in-law, and stopped caring. I flirted, and although he was reluctant at first, he invited me to his hotel room, and it happened. I have not told my husband, and I do not regret it. His brother is who I believe I was meant to be with all along. He has a good career, is stable, attractive, and cares for my daughter as if he were her father. I want to be with my brother-in-law, but if I tell my husband, the entire family will hate me, I may lose custody of my daughter, and my brother-in-law may cut ties with me. Story 5. I did it with my girlfriend's sister while my girlfriend was asleep in the other room. The other night, my girlfriend, her sister, and I were watching a television show we all enjoy. At some point, my girlfriend fell asleep. Her sister decided to stay up and continue watching with me, which was not unusual and had happened before. That night felt different though. We were all a bit tipsy, and she was more relaxed and flirtatious than usual. As we talked, I started noticing things about her that I never had before, things I should not have been thinking about. I found myself comparing her to my girlfriend, noticing that she was more attractive to me in certain ways and felt more down to earth. When I got up to get a drink, I brought one back for her and sat next to her. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I became more physical, starting with small gestures like putting my arm around her and touching her shoulder. After making an inappropriate joke, I put my hand on her thigh. She did not object. Things escalated from there. We started kissing, and eventually we did it. Afterward, we returned to the room where my girlfriend was sleeping and watched television until she woke up. I feel like I should tell my girlfriend what happened, but because of how close she and her sister are, I am afraid of destroying that relationship. As much as I hate myself for what I did, I cannot honestly say that I regret it. Story 6. Okay, this is so crazy and I can't believe this is my life, but here it is. I'm a 24-year-old woman and I've been with my boyfriend, who is 25, for almost 3 years. We've been living together for almost 2 years in his parents' house, along with his younger brother, who is 19, and his older brother, L, who is 26. My boyfriend and I met during the pandemic when I was coming out of a long, terrible relationship that left me very depressed for a long time. During that period, my boyfriend and I got together. We met online and lived in different countries, and because of the pandemic, we couldn't meet in person, so we decided that I would move to his country and live with him, which honestly makes all of this feel even worse. Elle and I didn't really hang out during my first year here, at least not alone. About 6 months ago, though, we all went on holiday, and Elle and I ended up staying up late drinking and waking up earlier than everyone else, so we spent a lot of time together. At first, nothing was too crazy, but later we started talking about intimate things and describing body parts to each other. I had also always thought Elle was really attractive, in a completely different way from my boyfriend. They look nothing alike, but they're both very handsome. On the last day of the holiday, things escalated. We drank a lot, got a little more touchy, and eventually we made out. Over the weeks after we got back home, we started a full-blown affair and were clearly falling for each other. Now we're basically dating in secret, all while I'm still with my boyfriend. Horribly. I don't always feel terrible about it. I know he's done nothing wrong, and I know he doesn't deserve this, but I also can't stop. I've never loved anyone like this before, and neither has Elle. But I can't just break up with my boyfriend. For one, it would devastate him. I would also get deported, and Elle thinks that even if we waited years before being together publicly, his family would disown him. At the same time, I know I can't continue like this forever. I know I'm a horrible person for this, but it truly feels like I picked the wrong brother initially, moved too fast while I was still healing, and am now living with the consequences. Story 7. I'm 24. My husband is 29, and his brother is 26. I've been with my husband since I was 19. I went to high school with his younger brother and ended up meeting my husband at a party after being invited through Facebook. My husband is amazing. He works while I stay at home and we have a good relationship. His brother and I have always gotten along well. Sometimes I wondered if he might like me, and I turned out to be right. A few months ago, we watched Child's Play on Hulu when it finally came out. While we were sitting there, his brother pulled me into his arms and held me, and I didn't push away. Afterward, we acted like nothing had happened. I never told my husband. He and his brother are very close. His brother has even stayed over at our place before. When my husband isn't trucking, they stay up late playing video games, cards, and other stuff. Tonight, he came over again. Everything was normal. We ordered Uber Eats, and he started playing Outlast, our favorite game, since none of us really did anything for Halloween. Things were okay at first. During a jump scare, he grabbed me, paused the game, and held me while roasting and teasing me. When he leaned back, I leaned back too. I didn't stop it. I curled into him and we lay together on the sofa. My hands wandered and rested on his crotch, and he didn't stop me. It started on the sofa and then moved to the bed. When it was over, I had an anxiety attack, and I'm still a mess. His brother cried and confessed that he's loved me for a long time. He told me he wants me to leave my husband for him. I'm in disbelief because they are so close. He also told me he would take care of me and give me a child. For the past 2 years, my husband and I have been trying to have a baby with no luck. He said that any child I had, he wouldn't want to be the uncle but the father. I'm in the bathroom now, crying and listening to music. His brother is still here. My husband isn't supposed to be home until later tomorrow. His brother is trying to console me and get me to come out. He's begging me, crying, telling me to please leave his brother. This is insane. I know I'll get so many negative comments, and I know I deserve them, but I don't know what to do. I can't answer my husband's texts. I always send him a goodnight text, and when he can, he texts back. I'm so screwed. Update: my husband and I talked, and it was hard. He yelled, which he had a right to do. He cried. I cried, and we agreed to try to work through this and see if we can fix things. I told his brother that I couldn't speak to him anymore. Of course, he was a mess. He begged both of us for forgiveness. My husband told him that he knew he was sorry, but asked if he still wanted me. His brother said yes, and said he was sorry that he fell for me. My husband told him he couldn't talk to him for a while. His brother just bawled. We got a call just now that his brother is in the hospital. He threw himself down the basement stairs, so my husband is on his way to the ER. We know he broke his shoulder and busted his temple. His mom is with him. Last update: I tried to post earlier, but it wouldn't let me. I know I received mostly hate. I want to explain what happened. I spoke to my husband's mom. She was upset but supported both of her sons. She is a good person and was kind enough to forgive me. Still, I broke her trust and made her cry. She ultimately said that regardless of what she thinks, she just wants everyone to be happy. My husband and I had another heart-to-heart, and things got heated. He loves me and gives me so much, but it's just not what I want. I apologized and asked for a divorce, even though he wanted me to stay. Here's the part that makes me sound horrible, and I deserve that. I am now with my husband's brother, and I've moved into his apartment, at least for now. My husband has figured it out. I'm not gonna screw him over in court or anything. He's asked me to stay, but I'm refusing. I'll tell them I cheated. I'll tell everything. Story 8. I unknowingly slept with my boyfriend's twin brother last night. I want to start by saying that I absolutely can tell the difference between my boyfriend and his brother. If you know twins and have one in your family, or you date one, after a while it's very easy to tell them apart. I admit that at first it was harder, but we've been together for a year now, so it's definitely easy. Last night, we invited his brother and his new girlfriend over. We watched TV, drank, and smoked. We were having a good time. I got pretty drunk and tired and laid on the floor to sleep. They kept going for maybe 30 minutes before it quieted down. I heard his brother go to the back to the other bedroom to sleep, and my boyfriend was snoring beside me. In the middle of the night, I got up because I wanted water. It was dark, and when I went back to lay down with my boyfriend on the floor, his back was to me. I put my arm around him, and honestly, I was in the mood, so I started to play with him and I heard him whisper, "Are you sure?" So I kept going. He rolled over, held me, and whispered how hot I was. Then we did it. I fell asleep and woke up before him in the morning. When I looked over, it was my boyfriend's twin. I was freaking out inside, didn't say anything, and hurried to our bedroom. My boyfriend was in bed, so I just got in and acted like nothing happened. He woke up, kissed me, and I said I was really tired. He got up and went to work. His brother didn't say anything this morning because his girlfriend was still here. He hugged me, kissed my forehead, and left. I am here now, completely panicking about what just happened. Story 9. I started dating my boyfriend, let's call him Sep, around 2 years ago, and things were great at first. He seemed like the perfect guy to me, handsome, tall, humorous, and adventurous. He had healthy hobbies like music and sports, and we shared some really wonderful times together. However, earlier in 2022, he revealed a side of himself I had never known before. He has a drinking and gambling addiction. He would go out to casinos, play roulette or blackjack, get drunk, and become a complete mess. More often than not, he would lose money, and when he won, he would go back the next day and lose the previous day's winnings. It became a major problem. We talked about it, and there were brief periods when he could abstain from his vices, but not long after, he would relapse. Around this time, I met his brother, let's call him M, Ses, and M did not have the best relationship as brothers. M was an ex-Marine. He looks a lot like S, is slightly older, but most importantly, he seemed very emotionally mature and understanding, something my boyfriend sometimes lacked. He also had different interests and hobbies, such as guns, fishing, and race cars, so meeting him almost felt like meeting a different version of my boyfriend from an alternate universe. I initially started talking to him to vent about S's behavior, but over the next few times we hung out and talked, some flirting occurred. One night, when S went out drinking, I was at M's house, and one thing led to another. We ended up sleeping together. This happened during a period when I was very vulnerable. My relationship with S was deteriorating because of his addictions and our struggles, and I was contemplating breaking up with him. Perhaps M exploited my emotions and seduced me because of that, but I felt extremely lonely and needed someone's company. We did it a few more times, and one day M told me that he felt guilty deceiving his brother, but he had fallen for me, and that his love for me was stronger than the guilt. I was at a loss for words. I had never really seen us that way. I did not intend to fall in love with him, nor for him to fall in love with me. I was just torn apart by everything. I still love S. Everything feels so wrong. So many possibilities, yet this is the mess I find myself in. Fast forward a bit. I started distancing myself from M and tried to get back on track with my relationship with S. We went to couples therapy, and he also attended therapy to help with his addictions. Since then, S has stopped all drinking and gambling, which I am very proud of. He has become the guy I knew before, fun and charming. Our relationship is slowly but surely improving every day. I told him about my affair with his brother. I asked for forgiveness, and he accepted. He said it was also his fault and apologized for the way he had been acting, which had been the primary reason I sought comfort and company elsewhere. I still have contact with M, but just as friends. Our fling is over, and I wish it would remain that way. I feel guilty for everything that happened, but all I want to do now is focus on myself and S. M started getting really jealous while all this was happening. I can understand why he felt that way. He truly wished we could have had something more than just an affair. He wished he could make me his forever. Yesterday, the three of us sat down to talk, and I made it very clear that I am romantically interested only in S, and that I see M only as S's brother and a friend. I said that we had all made mistakes in the past, and that from now on, everyone needed to move on. Ses spoke about how much he loves me and seemed both outraged and disturbed by his brother's obsession with me. M said that he still loves me and that no other woman had ever made him feel the way I did. There was a lot of tension between the brothers, and at one point, they nearly got into a fistfight in front of me. In the end, M shouted, "If I can't have you, then no one will. I'll frigging end the both of you," before storming out of our apartment. I do not know how serious M was when he made that statement, but he seemed truly furious. I know that he owns guns and knows where Ses and I live, and I feel threatened. Both S and I can work from home multiple days a week, and we have not left the apartment since the incident. We live in a relatively safe neighborhood, and our building has 2 gates, making it difficult for anyone not living here to get in. Says that his brother is a psychopath, and that he is ready to cut him completely out of his life. He suggested we file a police report and possibly seek a restraining order. I have also been considering moving out of the city, or even the province with S to escape this situation and start a new life without the burden of the past. At the same time, I have thought about doing it without S, effectively cutting both him and M out of my life. I still love S, but this entire situation has become such a mess that I am not sure I will ever be able to get out of it. I feel completely lost. Story 10. I slept with my girlfriend Sip's sister. Basically, I went on a night out with my friends, my girlfriend, 21, and her sister, 27, along with her friends. It was a good night, and everyone had a great time. I was staying at my girlfriend's mother's place afterward, and so was her sister. We got home late, and we were all drunk, but decided to stay downstairs and watch TV before going to bed. My girlfriend went to bed after about 20 minutes because she was exhausted and felt unwell. About 10 minutes later, her sister sat next to me while we were watching TV. Everything was fine, and then she just came on to me. She is incredibly attractive, and I couldn't say no. We did it, and it was intense. She has 2 kids, which makes it feel even worse. After doing it a few times, we both went to bed, me with my girlfriend and her sister in the spare room. The next morning, during breakfast, it was like nothing had happened. Now, whenever I do it with my girlfriend, I end up imagining it is with her sister. I feel completely lost and overwhelmed. What the hell do I do in this situation? Story 11. I am 28, and I have fallen in love with my sister-in-law, who is 20. Before I explain how it happened, I know I am in the wrong. I have been beating myself up over this situation. I just need advice on what to do. I feel completely lost and exhausted. My life feels like a mess. About a month ago, my wife, who is 27, asked if her sister could stay with us for a while because she is between jobs and still looking for something to do. I agreed because I knew it would not be a problem. I have known her sister since my wife and I started dating 5 years ago. When I first met her, I never thought about her in that way. She was too young and we have not spent much time together, especially after moving far from my wife's hometown. When she started living with us, my thoughts were the same as when I first knew her. She was my sister-in-law. But as the days passed, I began to get to know her more. I saw the qualities in her that I also admired in my wife. It was not surprising, given that she is my wife's sister. She is kind and more sympathetic than her sister, and perhaps because she looks at me as an older brother, she seems to respect me more than my wife sometimes does. Before I continue, I want to describe my wife. She is, in the truest sense, a wonderful wife. She always takes care of me and our daughter. Even though she is a teacher, she still finds time for us. We really have not had many problems since our marriage 3 years ago. This is what makes everything so painful. She does not deserve this. I want to reciprocate her love and care not only for me but for our family. Because of this, I decided to ask my sister-in-law if she could return to their hometown, citing that money has been tight. I made up this reason because I did not want to admit that I was slowly developing feelings for her. I also asked her not to tell her sister, making it appear as if it were her own decision to leave. She understood and left a little over a month after she arrived. I have not told anyone about this, and since she left, I have not been sleeping well. My mind feels foggy and disorganized, and I am barely holding on. I hate myself. I am a complete mess. I keep asking myself how I could do this to my wife. Why is it that when someone gives me even a small amount of attention and respect, I immediately lose control? I know I am in the wrong, and I am not trying to justify myself. You do not need to judge me any further. I just want to hear your advice on what I should do in this situation. Story 12. 25 years ago, my now wife and I were a new couple, having met shortly after college. We had been dating only a few weeks, but I knew very early on that she was a once-in-a-lifetime person, beautiful, smart, hardworking, and shared my interests in sports. For the sake of this story, I'll just call her my girlfriend. At that point in our relationship, my girlfriend and I had not been physical yet. She wanted to take things slowly, and I was fine with that. We lived in different cities, and her parents' house was roughly halfway between us, so we often met there to hang out, watch TV, and spend time together. I knew she had a younger sister, but I had not met her since she was away at college. One weekend, we were at her parents' house and her sister was there. She was incredibly attractive. Not necessarily as pretty as my girlfriend, but she radiated a different kind of sexiness. I couldn't help staring at her, and she stared right back. Cutting to the chase, her sister took advantage of the situation, and I went along with it. That night, we ended up doing it in the bedroom they had shared, after my girlfriend fell asleep on the couch watching TV. It never happened again. As our relationship progressed, I learned that my girlfriend and her sister had a very contentious relationship while growing up and sharing a room, so it became clear that her sister had been manipulating me. For a long time, I worried that someday she might tell my girlfriend out of spite, but it never happened. We are all much older now, of course, and all married with children. The sisters now get along very well and even consider themselves best friends. I still think about her sister and that night, but we have never spoken about it at all. Story 13. I slept with my brother-in-law, and now I want to disappear. I don't know what to do now. This will break my husband's heart, and my sister-in-law's as well, my husband's sister. Last Saturday was my brother-in-law's 40th birthday. We celebrated with a vacation in Mykonos. My mother and father-in-law were there, along with my husband, his sister, her husband, and me. I have been married to my husband for 12 years. 10 of those years have been without physical intimacy. What our relationship lacked sexually, it made up for in affection and intimacy. We love each other. I have never been so loved in my life. I have only had negative experiences with physical intimacy, so I chose to stay married to my husband. Aside from the panic that sometimes hits me at night, the thought that I might never have sex again, my life is happy, my marriage is happy. We have many friends and families who love us. We are financially secure and have great careers. I am 39, and the thought of living without my husband for the chance at banging is unbearable to me. My husband is 50. He is not going to start being intimate with me now. He has told me that he loves me and that nobody will ever love me the way he does. He says that if I leave, I may have get what I want physically, but I will never be loved. I am 39. Nobody will be interested in starting a life with a 39-year-old. My brother-in-law has been married to my sister-in-law for 20 years. They have 2 children together, and they recently bought a house. They are not financially stable enough to get a divorce, and it would destroy my sister-in-law emotionally and ruin her future. We slept together twice and one night in Mykonos. Everyone else had gone to bed except us, and we stayed up talking and drinking. I told him everything. He was shocked that I had not had any in so long. I don't know how it happened, but my longing took over, and when he touched me, I let it happen. I am not trying to make excuses. I hate myself for what I did, but I don't know what to do now. I love my husband. How can I tell him why I did this, especially when it is something he knows I long for, the one thing he cannot give me? And what about my sister-in-law and her children? I can't ruin their lives. I need help. Please don't judge me too harshly, because I wish I had never been born. Live with the guilt. Ask for a divorce, but never tell my husband the real reason, to spare him and his family the pain, or say that I slept with a stranger. Story 14. My wife and I have been married for 11 years, and we have 2 boys, 6 and 4. We are no longer intimate. She has gained weight and does not help much around the house. A few months ago, I cheated on her with one of her friends. She got angry, and we separated briefly, after which she tried to improve her habits, but she quickly reverted to her old ways. My sister-in-law and I often chat online. She lives in another state but sometimes visits. When she stays with us, we are occasionally alone in the house. During those times, we talk about everything, including our intimate lives, both hers, with her husband, and mine. She told me that doing it with her husband is often average or boring. She said he sometimes cannot get it up and often skips showers, so he can smell unpleasant. My sister-in-law and I were enjoying our chats on Facebook, and we decided it would be nice to see each other in person. We didn't plan to do anything inappropriate. We just wanted to meet and talk as friends. I booked an early morning flight to visit her. She picked me up at the airport, and we went to her house while her husband was away. We had lunch and continued chatting. Eventually, one thing led to another, and we ended up making out and then doing it on the couch. It was very intense, and we ended up doing it multiple times. I stayed at a hotel, and every day while her husband was away, we would meet, go out together, and do it at her house. During the last week, she told her husband she was going on a business trip, but in reality, she came to my hotel room to spend a few nights with me. After that, I returned to Philadelphia, and no one knows what happened between us. Not her husband, and not my wife. I feel guilty about it, which is why I never told my wife. But the temptation to have another affair with my sister-in-law is still there. What should I do? Should I tell my wife or keep it a secret? Story 15. My sister-in-law split with her partner at the start of lockdown. She had nowhere to go, so my partner and I said we would let her stay with us. For context, my partner and her do not get along at all. They have a very bad relationship and a strong sibling rivalry. Even though they are 6 years apart, the tension between them has always been intense. Despite that, my sister-in-law and I have always gotten along fairly well. I suffer from migraines, severe ones. I had not had one in years, but a couple of weeks ago, I had a migraine that completely wiped me out and left me confined to bed, feeling extremely ill. A few days later, I woke up to what I thought was my partner giving me a blowy. It felt normal, so I didn't question it. She then started doing it with me, and I responded as usual. We finished, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary until I heard her whisper, "Don't tell her." That's when I became more alert. I checked my phone and saw a message from my partner saying she was taking the dog out for a long walk and hoped I was feeling better. I went into the sitting room and saw that it was my sister-in-law in the house, and I put two and two together. She had done it with me while I was sick. When my partner came back, I told her, and she went ballistic. She punched her sister and kicked her out. The problem now is that my sister-in-law is staying with their mom and is claiming that we had been intimate, which is causing a massive issue. On top of that, she sent us a picture of a positive pregnancy test and says it's mine. My partner and I are child-free by choice and do not want kids at all. This is creating huge tension. My partner knows I wouldn't cheat on her when I'm coherent, but it's causing big arguments. Our libidos are shot. She says that if it's true and the child is mine, she doesn't know if she can stay with me, which makes me feel like a terrible person. What can I do? Story 16. I feel like the biggest piece of shit ever for posting this, and to be clear, I will never act on it, nor do I have the desire to act on it. But over the past month or so, I've noticed myself wanting to spend more time around my sister-in-law. I feel that we are quite similar in many ways, and share a connection that I don't feel with my wife. My wife and I got married earlier this year, and since then it feels almost as if we've grown apart rather than closer. We are a lot less intimate. We don't spend as much time alone together as we should, and we really don't talk about much unless it's related to things we need to get done, errands, chores, bills, and so on. For some reason, our relationship has almost become like a routine. Now, don't get me wrong. Our relationship isn't bad, and the growing apart seems rather mutual, not just a skewed perception on my part. I don't know, it just feels like ever since we got married, things have changed in a way that makes our relationship feel more like a job or a chore, and that we are both just going through the motions. We have had a couple of conversations about this, and it usually ends with both of us thinking it's just a phase and that it will pass, which may be true. It feels like the spark has completely died, and I know the honeymoon phase obviously doesn't last forever. But it's not just that, it's like we have both forgotten what we committed to and are currently unwilling to put in more effort than the bare minimum. I want to work on it with her and get us back on better terms. Lately, I've found myself thinking more and more about her sister, not in an inappropriate way, but more out of curiosity about her as a person. That doesn't make it any better, and I want to be clear that this isn't about wanting to do it with another woman. In fact, that thought hasn't even crossed my mind. How can I get past this? Of course, I don't want to act on these thoughts. I want to make things work with my wife because I married her for a reason, and I'm not going to throw away our marriage just because things feel off right now. I understand that marriage is for life and that I can't simply give up when it gets tough. I truly want to make this marriage work and honor the commitment I've made to her and to myself. It just makes my thoughts muddy when I find myself thinking about another woman, thoughts I absolutely do not want to have. I'm open to any suggestions, and please don't hold back. I understand this is a difficult situation that I've created for myself. I just want to know how I can get better and how I can be a better husband to my wife. Story 17. Well, not with a sibling, but I am a 27-year-old male and recently found out that my 26-year-old wife cheated on me with my father, who is 56, and got pregnant. My dad was a good man when I was growing up. However, when I was about 12, my grandmother passed away. He didn't take it well. He became a depressed alcoholic and started wasting all the money he could get his hands on for booze. He eventually got fired from his job because he rarely showed up, and my mom became so fed up that she gave him an ultimatum: clean up his act within a month, or he had to leave. He didn't, and my mother kicked him out. I always felt bad because he lost his mom, his job, and our family all at once. I tried calling him, but he never picked up. He was absent from my life for 14 years, and even when I tried to reconnect, he had likely changed his number, so we never managed to meet. Fast forward to around February of this year, I received a call from a random number. It turned out to be my dad, and he wanted to meet at a park just to talk. I agreed, and the next day we had a long conversation about everything that had happened over the past 14 years. I got some closure and even felt the connection I had with him before his mother passed away. He had been living in another country and had gotten his life together so that my mom and I wouldn't be so opposed to him returning. I don't know if he really needed 14 years, but I digress. At the time, my mother was staying with her sick mother and wouldn't be coming back for an unspecified amount of time, so I offered my dad a place to stay at my house as long as he could cover his own utilities. We were trying to save up money to have a child later, so this arrangement seemed fair. When I brought him back, my wife Sarah was opposed to the idea at first, but eventually calmed down when he told her he would be paying for what he used. Their relationship was a bit strained initially, but they seemed to warm up to each other fairly quickly. Looking back now, there were some red flags. For example, when I would walk in and ask what they were laughing about, they would say it was nothing and continue joking. I also noticed that my wife became less and less intimate with me. Whenever I tried to initiate anything, she was either in pain, too tired, or on her period. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago. I had worked a double shift and came home completely exhausted. When I opened the door, I walked in on my father and Sarah doing it. I was beyond furious. It was the first time in my life that I felt genuinely overwhelmed by violent anger. I immediately turned around to leave, but they started screaming my name, saying they wanted to talk. I ignored them, got in my car, and drove straight to my friend Michael's house. I called my boss and told her I wouldn't be able to come into work due to a family emergency, and she understood. I ended up staying at Michael's place for almost a week. While I was there, I cried more than I ever have in my life. It felt like my heart had been ripped out of my chest. I hated my father the most. He had abandoned me for 14 years, only to come back and betray me in the worst possible way. I was dealing with some very dark and dangerous thoughts during that time, and it was Michael who talked me down and stopped me from doing anything irreversible. After I had cooled down a bit, I went back home to find out exactly what had happened. Sarah had been calling my phone non-stop, and when she saw me, it was obvious she hadn't slept much. Her eyes were red and swollen. My father came up from the basement, and I asked them both to tell me when it started, how long it had been going on, and why they did it. My dad said it had been happening for a couple of months because Sarah made him feel young again. As he went on making excuses, Sarah sat there crying quietly, holding her head and whispering that she was sorry and didn't know what had come over her. After he finished trying to justify himself, they dropped another bomb on me. Sarah was pregnant, and he was most likely the father. I was seething inside and had to fight hard to keep myself composed. I asked Sarah what she planned to do about the baby. She said she wanted to keep it because our religion, Catholicism, frowns upon abortion. That struck me as painfully ironic. So I asked her if Catholicism also frowned upon cheating. She broke down and started sobbing again. My father said he wanted her to keep the child and be an active father in a way he had failed to be for me. Then Sarah asked me if I would help raise the child. That was the breaking point. I told her there was no chance and that I would be filing for divorce. She begged me not to, saying that divorce was wrong according to our religion. I was so angry and overwhelmed that I told her to stay away from me because I didn't trust myself to stay calm. My father then asked me to reconsider for the sake of our renewed relationship, and I told him to leave me alone as well. I felt physically sick. Since then, both Sarah and my father have been blowing up my phone, asking for forgiveness and begging me to reconsider, but I've put my phone on Do Not Disturb. It hurts in a way I didn't think was possible. The woman I loved more than anything betrayed me with my own father, the same father I had just reconnected with after 14 years. I feel completely torn and lost. Does anyone have any advice on how to deal with something like this? Story 18. I caught my husband in bed with my sister. I am 24, and I have been married to my husband for almost a year. 2 nights ago, we attended my sister's 21st birthday. Everyone was drunk and some were using various drugs. I know my husband had smoked some pot and was very drunk, and my sister was also intoxicated. I was sober because I recently found out I am pregnant, so I stayed mostly in the house, only coming out for cake and gifts, avoiding people, and just supporting my sister. After the food was served, I went outside to eat and couldn't find my sister or my husband. I went looking and found them in a room together in bed. They were fully clothed but kissing. I started shouting, and they panicked. I left, leaving my husband there. He was dropped off at home about 15 minutes later and passed out. By the next morning, I had already started packing my things. My husband acted confused, claiming he must have thought it was me, that he was really drunk, and admitted to taking a tab of acid. Though my sister and I do look very similar, I was not in the mood to hear excuses. I left for my mother's house and have been here since. My sister has not reached out, and I don't even know what to say to her. My husband has been sending constant apologies and romantic gestures, even dropping off flowers and my favorite breakfast at my mother's doorstep. I am having a baby with him. I love him. I share his last name, but I feel heartbroken and betrayed. I am at a loss. Story 19. I am 30 and recently found out that my wife, who is 29, slept with my brother, who is 32, before our relationship. We have been dating since 2016 and married in 2021. I have always believed that our relationship was strong and healthy. Growing up as family friends, there was always a hint of romantic tension between my wife and my brother. Even though we were all close, I could never shake the feeling that there was something more between them during high school. However, as we entered our 20s and my relationship with her blossomed, any lingering tension seemed to fade. The revelation about their past came unexpectedly through her cousin, someone we all knew from childhood. He casually asked if I remembered my wife and my brother being romantically involved as teenagers, assuming it was common knowledge. I was shocked and initially in denial. Their relationship was not serious, but they had multiple intimate encounters. While I have always been open-minded about my wife's past experiences, knowing she had been intimate with my brother stirred up a different set of emotions. It feels morally conflicting, as if a line was crossed that should not have been. Additionally, it feels strange to realize that I essentially share a deeply intimate connection with my brother through the same woman, especially since they continue to see each other at family events. Both my wife and my brother expressed remorse for not disclosing their past to me earlier. When I confronted them, my wife quickly assured me that their past relationship holds no significance to her now. Similarly, my brother echoed the same sentiment, emphasizing that their connection is firmly in the past. Despite their apologies, I cannot shake the lingering sense of betrayal and discomfort. I keep questioning whether my own insecurities are amplifying these feelings, but the unease remains. Story 20. I caught my wife in bed with my brother, and I don't know how to deal with it. This actually happened almost 5 months ago, yet I feel like it happened seconds ago. I work as a delivery driver for FedEx, so I am rarely away from home, which makes it even more confusing when my wife complains that I'm gone too long. One day, my brother told me he wanted to go on vacation. I asked where, and he said snowboarding. That same day, my wife told me she was going on a vacation with her friends. I believed her and didn't think much of it since she left a day before my brother. My wife and I don't have any children yet. About 2 weeks later, a neighbor told me that my brother was holding hands with my wife. My brother is married, and his wife looks similar to my wife. I found that strange and assumed he must have confused his wives. One day, coming home from work, all I could think about was taking a shower. When I went to my room, I saw my wife shirtless, sleeping next to my brother, all bare. I am not a fighter and have never been in a fight before, but I grabbed his foot and yanked him off the bed. I started screaming at him. She woke up and started saying the typical, "It's not what it looks like." I then learned that they had been having an affair for 2 years. After that, I told my brother's wife. This wasn't the first person he had cheated on her with, and she had had enough. She started divorce proceedings. I did the same with my own wife. She begs me to forgive her, but I know why she wants a second chance. She would be homeless, and my ex-brother would be as well. I had been with my wife for 4 years. I no longer believe in family. My brother was the last relative I trusted, and now he can rot for all I care. I was warned, don't marry American women. I am an American myself, but I now believe that American women are among the most trifling human beings in the world. Story 21. I slept with my husband's brother before I met my husband, but he still doesn't know the truth. When I was 18, I met a guy through a friend. He was 24. I was immediately drawn to him, handsome, tall, funny, and covered in tattoos. It was full-on puppy love. We dated for 4 months before being intimate, but the next day he vanished completely. He ghosted me, and I didn't hear from him again for over 6 months. I was heartbroken. Eventually, he came back, apologetic and wanting to be together again. He said he regretted what he had done. We did it, but I decided to use him like he had used me, and afterwards I kicked him out of my house. He was upset, but that was the last I heard from him. I had completely forgotten about him and moved on. When I was 23, I met the love of my life, the man I had always wanted. I had left an extremely abusive marriage, and he was like a breath of fresh air. He loved me and my daughter and treated us both amazingly. A few months into dating, we went to his parents' house for a cookout, and to my shock, he was there, my ex. It turned out he was his big brother. I had forgotten my ex's last name, so it was a huge shock to see him there, and he was shocked too. After we left the cookout, my husband told me that his brother had been running around telling everyone that we had dated and had been intimate. I was mortified. My poor husband was beyond embarrassed and upset, rightfully so. I couldn't understand why his brother would tell everyone. He's married with 2 kids. His wife was furious and hated me for it. I lied. I told everyone that he had mistaken me for another girl. It wasn't true, but they all believed me. Now, we have been married for 2 years and have 2 children. We live about 10 minutes from my brother-in-law, so we see them often. I don't know if he still remembers what happened, but I'm sure he does. He hasn't mentioned it, but now his marriage is on the brink of disaster. His wife cheated, they might divorce, and she even left for a while, leaving the kids. My husband has become very insecure about this, worrying that I might cheat on him. I have never cheated, but keeping this lie is filling me with guilt. I feel like he wouldn't have married me if I had told him the truth. I was just so embarrassed and ashamed. I don't know if I should tell him now or keep it hidden. I worry that my brother-in-law might talk about it again, and the guilt is overwhelming. Story 22. Not with a sibling, but my girlfriend cheated on me with her husband, from whom she is getting a divorce. She still lives with him, but their marriage is effectively over. We spent 3 weeks together before I dropped her off at home and returned to my city. That same day, she messaged me, and it felt eerie. She wanted to talk the next day. I was busy and it was too late, so we didn't get on a call. The following day we talked, and she told me that when she got home, her husband had packed her things and told her to leave. Eventually, things got emotional. They were crying together on the bathroom floor. He kissed her and she pushed him back, though with a delay. It was not easy to hear, and I don't know what to think, but I went to bed. The next morning, she told me she hadn't told me everything and wanted to come clean. She sent a very long message explaining that what happened confirmed her feelings for me, that she is completely over her husband, and that everything is clear for her now. The whole message felt like it had a victory element for her. She said the incident was very brief, but did become physical at some point. I had to ask for clarification. What does physical mean? She claimed it was only for 5 seconds and avoided calling it saying it was a trauma response. Her mind was focused on me, but her body gave up. She explained that the trauma stems from her marriage, less than a year old, with an avoidant husband. She did not experience physical abuse. The trauma came from emotional neglect, like being left to cry alone. She said that after those 5 seconds, she went to take a shower and cried. I told her I needed time to process this and would get back to her. I also expressed that I felt manipulated by the way she revealed the truth, as I had to keep digging to understand what really happened. The next day, I got on a call with her and told her that I didn't see a way forward, that it was over. She cried and insisted she would do anything to fix it. She said she would fly to my city the next evening and wanted me to see her. I told her it was futile. I would not get over this, especially because I never saw it coming. From the start, she had insisted she was completely over her marriage, only waiting for the divorce to be finalized. Still, she came to my city, and I met her. She couldn't stop smiling when she saw me, and it took a while to start talking. We went to my place to talk. I appreciated that she was there, but I couldn't see a way forward. She admitted she didn't either, but said that with love and time, we could work through it. I asked detailed questions, seeking clarification. I asked how the act could have happened without her consent. It was very uncomfortable for both of us. I struggled to understand how someone could end up in that position without active participation, especially if she was describing herself as frozen and unresponsive during it. Finally, she could not handle these questions and stormed out. The next morning, she sent me recorded calls with her husband. In the recordings, after she told him about me, he encouraged her to go see me and try to fix things. During the call, she explained how I had asked detailed questions about the incident and how she thought I would understand her trauma and feelings, but instead I focused on the specifics of the act. Her husband said that the questions I asked were not normal, that I was insecure and immature, and that while my hurt was understandable, the way I was handling it was crazy. He added that if I were as perfect as she had described, I would understand and appreciate her coming to me. I felt strange, like it was both of them against me. Regardless, I went to see her at her Airbnb. We talked, cried, and then did it. I brought her back home afterward. I am completely torn. I love this woman, but I am haunted by these thoughts. She cheated on me. Yet, according to her, I shouldn't think of it that way. The pattern continued. Whenever I brought something up, she stormed out, then came back. It felt like a roller coaster, and I couldn't tell who was crazier at this point, me, her, or her husband. This up and down went on for a couple of days. I tried very hard, with a lot of crying and intense emotions, both good and bad, but overall it felt bleak most of the time, even when I felt slightly closer to her. One day, after my therapy appointment, she told me she could not deal with my indecisiveness. I couldn't give her the confidence she needed. She said she had done and said everything she could, and since that didn't seem enough for me to decisively commit to working things out, she stormed out one final time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.